Google has no obligation to give you a ROAS of 10 if you're asking for a ROAS of 5.
They don't owe you shit.
Yeah.
If I want my ROAS at 5, which is the ROAS target I put on my campaign and I get a 10, they are over-delivering, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So they are deliberately looking for the less efficient conversion.
Yeah. Alternately, the other side of the equation, they can go into more competitive auctions with higher CPCs.
Higher CPCs.
Yes.
Which I think is the preferred one for... No. You can't even say because the budget is...
Because your budget is fixed, and then you'll get less. You'll get
what
less
they
volume.
actually want is...
Yeah. But as you start to pack on monthly conversions and the algorithm has more data, the percentage of campaigns that are underperforming the ROAS target diminishes and eventually goes, close towards 0. And the amount of campaigns that are on target increases. But what's truly fascinating is that what never changes is the percentage of campaigns that over-deliver or overperform the ROAS target. It's about 1 in 4. Welcome to another episode of Growing E-commerce. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Ryan, and with me, as always,
Chris. Good to be back, by the way.
Yeah, I should say almost as always. You weren't with us last week.
Almost as always.
Yeah.
But you did a fantastic job.
Thanks, mate.
Even without me.
Somehow.
What a surprise.
So today we have a very exciting episode for you. So first off, it's a time of recording July 3rd. We're in the middle of the World Cup as well. So Chris is combining these and wearing his US jersey.
You see it, right?
Yeah. We'll make sure to cut to you on the camera there. And what could possibly be more American than the raw capitalistic energy of Google bidding?
Nothing. So, and coincidentally, we're talking about a topic which will probably bring even more cash into the bank of Google.
Yes, indeed.
I think let's start, right?
Let's start, yes. So a couple weeks back, Google wrote a blog post talking about some changes coming to smart bidding. And they talked about a new feature called Smart Bidding Exploration, which we could maybe we'll touch on that this episode as well. And a couple other things. But what sounded like a very dry administrative topic was this thing, changes to smart bidding beginning August 17th.
Some changes. Can't be a lot.
I'm sure it was the least read part of that article. And
they were great at hiding it, huh?
Yeah.
Just be very defensive about it.
Well, they do have a tool coming out, so they will be a bit more proactive here. But that tool, I think, is going to have a very specific purpose. And yeah, I haven't seen a lot of, deep discussion yet about these changes or what they mean.
No.
So
Nothing on the client side either. But I think, without being too bullish on this feature, or bearish, I think it's a question of perspective.
Yeah.
There will be discussions going on very, very soon.
Yeah.
Mate, can you, before we jump into what it actually means and what positives but also negatives can be talked about, can you explain it shortly what it is?
Sure. Let's break it down quick. So Google is, by the way, framing this very much around campaigns that are limited by budget. And as we go on, I think that it's much broader than that. My understanding is that this is a systemic change that's going to affect a lot more campaigns than that. But their initial framing here is about limited by budget campaigns. Chris, does Google like when a campaign is limited by budget, in your experience?
I have to think about that. No, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. I mean, we're talking about a company which is rather on the capitalistic approach to do business, I would say, right?
Sure.
So limited by budget is by design not good.
Yeah. And what's going to happen here is they're saying that it is often the case that campaigns that are limited by budget, let's say they'll have a target ROAS of 5.
Yes.
But the campaign is actually delivering a ROAS of 10. Yeah. And they have the feeling, and I think there's some truth to this, that some people are just comfortable in that situation, and they're maybe even using cost as a control, and they're happy with that buffer. And if they would try to scale that campaign, they know their ROAS is going to go down. They know there's going to be volatility, and there's an uncertain upside potential. Are they leaving revenue on the table? Yeah, but they're very comfortable in this position. Also, I think if we take Google's perspective, because we are in our bubble within our clients and how they tend to spend and stuff like that, but I'm willing to bet when Google looks at the entire landscape, there's probably so many campaigns, particularly in the SMB segment, that are in this exact situation.
Yes. I think you did an analysis, right? Over, I think, all of our MCC, where you basically analyzed how many of the campaigns are over or under delivering.
Yes.
In terms of ROAS.
Yes.
And there is quite a substantial part of the existing campaigns we can have a look at, and we're talking about thousands of campaigns.
Yes.
Which are over delivering. So basically delivering at a ROAS above the actual ROAS target.
Definitely. But that's true. But I just want to table that for right now.
All right. Okay. Go ahead.
We'll come back to that because I think first, I just want to mention here, like what Google says is going to happen starting August 17th is that those campaigns that are limited by budget and are over delivering efficiency, that behavior is going to change, and they'll start to trend toward the target ROAS. So remember, you have a target ROAS of 5, you're actually getting 10. Beginning August 17th, that campaign's going to look more like a ROAS of 5.
Yes.
And
so, on paper, I would say Google is just doing their job, right? ROAS adherence. I mean, it could be even a positive thing.
Yeah, I mean, Google has no obligation to give you a ROAS of 10 if you're asking for a ROAS of 5.
They don't owe you shit. Yeah. If I want my ROAS at 5, which is the ROAS target I put on my campaign, and I get a 10, they are over delivering, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But Mike, there's a huge but.
Yes.
What? I mean, we're talking about campaigns which are limited by budget.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm a retailer now. I have one of my most successful campaigns. I have my ROAS target at 5. It's delivering a constant 8 to 10. I got accustomed to it. I love it. It's running.
Yeah.
But the campaign is limited by budget.
Yeah.
What you're telling now to me and the audience is that Google will revert back to what I actually set with regards to my ROAS target.
Yeah.
So from 10, it will go down to 5. And the budget still remains limited.
Yes, that's a fixed...
It's fixed, right? I want my limited budget.
Yeah, this means, for example, maybe it's at 90% of the available budget. So this becomes a fixed constant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hold on now, because this is now we're jumping right into...
Yeah, what does that mean?
What does that mean? Because it means, how can Google force my ROAS down to 5 from 10 without increasing the volume?
Yeah.
There are just two ways to achieve that. I explain way one, which is basically focus on clicks with less expected value.
Yes. Or lower conversion rate.
Or lower conversion rate.
Yeah.
Holy shit. So they are deliberately looking for the less efficient conversion.
Yeah. Alternately, the other side of the equation, they can go into more competitive auctions with higher CPCs.
Higher CPCs.
Yes.
Which I think is the preferred one for... No. You can't even say, because the budget is...
Because your budget is fixed, and then you'll get less. You'll get
what
less
they
volume.
actually want is, they want to... I mean, let's face it. They want to force... let's say they come from a positive place, but
they want to motivate people.
They want to... Exactly. They want... Yeah, but that's correct. They want to motivate people to increase or open the budget limits.
Yeah.
But that's fine for me. But going back to these two ways, how they can achieve basically this forcing function to lower the ROAS. Honestly, this is crazy, mate. I know they don't owe me shit if I put the ROAS target of 5, but still, it's crazy. They are deliberately looking for less efficient conversions.
I mean, it does come down to this idea of they don't owe you, because so to break down what they are offering you here, first off, I think this is a carrot and stick approach. In case you don't know that expression, if you want a horse to do something, you can either offer a nice crunchy carrot, or you can hit it with a stick. And by the way, Chris is a huge...
Yes, animal rights forever.
Yeah.
So it should be the carrot.
It should be
Is
the
this
carrot,
a carrot here when we're talking about that?
Well, the carrot. So what Google says will happen, because they know that people are in this comfortable situation of a limited budget and over delivering ROAS, and they're uncertain about the upside. So their offer to you is that they'll deliver smoother scaling if you do open your budget. And so that way you can, I mean, I've seen slides where they explain this and they show someone 5xing from 200 to 1,000, and the ROAS remains perfectly constant at 10. And so I think these kind of explanations are very unhelpful, because that to me is
not reality,
not credible. There's this little thing called the law of diminishing returns. But notwithstanding that, they're offering you smoother scaling. So that's the carrot. The stick is that your performance will not be as good. So, and there is a way out, because if you're asking for 5, they don't owe you 10. So they're saying, if you want the 10,
put the 10 in,
then start asking for 10. And
fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Because otherwise, there's someone out there who's trying to scale, who's, to be honest, in that sense, a more attractive customer for Google, and they need what you have.
What you have.
Yeah.
And what I maybe didn't even want in the first place.
Yeah. Potentially.
Potentially. Yeah. Look, I mean, I get, so from the perspective of Google, it's a bold, smart move.
Yeah.
Because it will, I guess so, it will probably motivate people to really open the budget.
Yes.
Because let's face it, if they push my ROAS down from 10 to 5 and I got accustomed to 8, I probably need the 8 for my overall ROAS on account level. I mean, I got accustomed to it. Then I probably will do something about it.
Yeah. Yes.
Either I increase the ROAS, like you said,
yes,
or I accept the lower ROAS, but then I try the scaling thing, which is the big promise behind this feature. So I think it's a smartest move on Google's side.
It's very shrewd and not
shrewd. Yes.
Well, it's shrewd, and advertisers might not like it, but from a business standpoint, and
makes a lot of. And sorry, my God.
Well, I was going to say we can look now at the bigger picture with other campaigns, but what did you want to say?
Yeah, because that's what I wanted to do. Because you referred to how much slack Google has here.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that this diminishing curve of return, they have a lot of bending room here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and it might sound like, so hold on, to back up, because let's get into this topic of smoother scaling.
Yes.
How the F should this possibly work? Again, I think they've given some of their marketing materials are not realistic and not helpful here, but I do believe it's possible for them to offer smoother scaling. The question is, like, how do they... There's the law of diminishing returns, right? That's
a universal law, actually. Yeah.
But what's not, like, it's universal that returns will diminish. Or in marketing, we talk about the saturation. So, there will be a saturation point, but the way there is uncertain and flexible. You can bend that curve. You can shape it,
of course.
And there's things you as an advertiser can do. If you improve your on-site conversion rate, you're going to change that curve. But there's also things that Google can do at a system level. And so, as you mentioned earlier, Chris, what we've observed time and again, every way we slice this data, is that smart bidding is fundamentally conservative. I'll put a slide on screen for people who are watching. I think it's a great way of demonstrating this, but basically we find that in campaigns that don't have a lot of monthly conversions, there's a huge amount of volatility between whether you're going to be on target or above or below target. And most of the time you might be below target. But as you start to pack on monthly conversions and the algorithm has more data, the percentage of campaigns that are underperforming the ROAS target diminishes and eventually goes, close towards zero. And the amount of campaigns that are on target increases. But what's truly fascinating is that what never changes is the percentage of campaigns that over-deliver or overperform the ROAS target. It's about 1 in 4.
Yes, roughly 20 to 25%.
Yeah.
So this is significant.
Yes, and I think that's what we're talking about.
That's what we were talking about, yeah. And this is the slack Google is looking at and probably says, hold on.
Yeah.
This is money left on the table. Yes. That's what it is. Yes. And that's why the bending, the wiggle room they have in this diminishing return curve, I think it's serious.
Yes.
That's why this feature might work.
It really might. I mean, Google says it will. And by the way, they didn't, I don't think they ever announced this, but it was already rolled out for display campaigns. Mm-hmm. I think they used that as a guinea pig because they're killing display campaigns anyway. Yeah. But, yeah, so, and the reason, although they're focused with their messaging on limited by budget, I think that's probably the largest population of campaigns that this affects, and it's from a sales perspective, they want to uncap those budgets. But when you think about it logically, they talk about smooth scaling. And so the technology that they're describing, it doesn't stop working as soon as your campaign's not limited by budget. They're saying that you can keep spending more, and
you can manage the curve of diminishing returns.
You're going to get this smoother scaling, and that means that it's just going to have better overall ROAS or target ROAS fidelity or target CPA if you use that. So yeah, again, we contend that this will probably result in, we see that 1 in 4 campaigns over deliver. That percentage is probably going to shrink.
Yes.
And the percentage of campaigns that are on target is going to grow. But what this means from a bidding standpoint, like in principle, these campaigns, these limited by budget campaigns, they're going to start facing higher CPCs or lower order values or whatever. But to a certain extent, we'll see similar effects across the ecosystem. What it ultimately motivates you to do is to spend as much as possible.
Look, I mean, I don't want to say that we were right again, but no, look, this is something we have been talking with our clients for years, that Google is just aiming at this average ROAS idea, right? You have this over deliveries, you have this under deliveries. Even if you look at one campaign, products are over and undershooting all the time. And our claim was always, look, if you have a campaign which is over delivering in terms of ROAS, that's not necessarily a good thing because you leave market on the table.
Exactly.
So I think it's from that perspective, I think Google is doing the right thing. They motivate you to think about that. Yes. Do you want to capitalize on this market?
Yeah.
If you want to, you have to put money on the table. Well, that's the game. From that perspective, honestly, Mike, I think it's shrewd, it's bold, it's crazy if you think about it, what they will do.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
It's bitter medicine,
It's bitter medicine, it might help. The one thing I'm not certain about, and I know our beloved clients, sometimes there is just not budget available to scale, even if it's a smooth scaling. If I need more budget and I don't have it, I think it might hurt not just our clients, a lot of players who are truly limited by budget, but still got accustomed to this over delivering ROAS.
Well,
this might be a real problem.
Yeah, I've already been in my first client calls about this topic because it's it's not waiting. This August 17th is not far. And one example, this again, we always talk about how Google doesn't know what they don't know, and I think that this is not an uncommon scenario. We've talked about this before, that plenty of marketers don't really care that much about the platform data. They're looking at their own backend or their own attribution model or marketing mix modeling, whatever. There's a sense where that's good. People are moving toward more advanced measurement. But in the case of this client, they're using Adobe or a different system. It doesn't matter, but they're using a different system. That's their real source of truth. And in Google, like that over-delivering ROAS that they're currently achieving actually in their backend corresponds to break even. And so what's going to happen, Google will start trending that like they've learned that they can ask for this ROAS target at this budget, and they'll get this actual ROAS, because that's the way which will correspond to their backend ROAS. That's another thing. It's tangled, it's complicated, but it's working for them, and it's about to break.
Absolutely. The understanding of my ROAS targets in terms of what do I have to set in order to achieve a ROAS, which in the backend is meeting my profitability goals, that might be broken. This system might be broken because but what is the workaround, man? The workaround is that you have to be just way smarter with your product segmentations and campaign structures. Because the campaigns will probably hit the ROAS target you're setting there.
I think so.
I think we think so. But these are two massive issues, mate, for the online retailer.
I mean, and I don't want to scare people with this overly. Google says the language they use, they're not presenting this as a cliff. Like, yes, there's a date where the system will be activated, and then they say that your campaigns will trend toward this result. But over time,
you know what that means.
You cannot guarantee or depend on this result that you've been getting. They're also, I mean, by the time this episode airs, because on July 6th, they'll be offering a tool that they call the bid target adjustment tool.
You have to be more creative, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess
there's no AI in it. It's not going to.
There's no Max.
It won't land.
There's no Max and there's no AI. Can we please call it the AI bid target max adjustment max tool? Sorry, Google. We love you. So I mean, I guess that tool is gonna once again paint a certain picture that you should probably increase your budget.
Yes. No, so sure thing. So, like, I would say from like a microeconomics perspective, this makes sense. Curve of diminishing returns. You have market, spend it. They offer a tool. We both know that's not always the reality. A lot of clients don't have the budget. A and B, they need this precise ROAS what they actually get to meet the goals. And they got accustomed to it.
Totally. But I mean, it's very broadly aligned with other activities that Google is taking. You can really read the theme here. You know, they've been talking about demand-led growth for a while. We've talked about, and they're productizing this. They announced at GML that there'll be a new tool or feature called demand-led budget pacing. They have this whole smart bidding exploration arm, which that was tested for search for a while, but now it's coming to more campaign types, and they're building new features on it, like this cool one, I think, called promo mode, coming this holiday season, I guess. But these are all going, even they announced like the more, what was it called? But they call it the flight-based budgeting. This is also in the direction of budget automation. So everything is pointed in one direction here. And in the past, we talked about PMaxification, automated bids, automated targeting, automated placements, automated creatives. The things that were left were your goal that you set and your budget. And that pillar is increasingly coming into the platform.
And I don't know if it's a coincidence, but I think that the fact that they were behind Meta the first time in basically in history with regards to ads budget, I think Google has to do something about it. I'm just saying, look, again, it's in my world, I'm an opportunity seeker. I think if you have campaigns which over deliver, you have market there, and think about how to activate it. That has always been my claim. Reality is, it won't be a fit for all retailers, D2C brands whatsoever, and this might cause friction.
For sure, it's easy to say, you know, spend more and just more. Why don't you just take the market share? But
I think the more important it will be to really think about your product segmentation strategy, about how you want to structure it in the campaign landscape.
Yeah.
Again, because these overshootings will the
Uh,
ROAS will matter even more. The ROAS you set will matter even more in the future.
Because there is, if scaling is getting easier, that's in Google's platform, but ultimately, like, how much can your business actually scale profitably? Where's the point on your break even? So,
and what is the global optimum across all these campaigns you wanted to achieve on account level? Yeah, a couple of questions, but a hell of a... Is it a feature? Well, no,
it's an update. I mean, the feature is smart bidding, and this is an update to that feature. Yeah.
That's a hell of a thing, man.
Yes.
You know what is also a hell of a thing? The US boys. I'm not kidding, man. 4th of July. I mean, I'm a big fan of the US, but the soccer team, sorry, I call it the football team. They are playing amazing. They are playing amazing football. And I predict, and I might be completely wrong, but I predict they will beat Belgium.
Well,
we know when this thing is aired, right?
We'll know by then, right? Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to school me on this because Chris, like the true American that I am, I don't really care about soccer.
By the way, why is it called football?
You play
90% of the time.
It's American football.
The American football. It's not football. It's handball.
It's a great.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, there's like a couple of there's very limited scenarios where the foot touches the ball.
Very, very limited. Anyhow, US boys, great team. And Austria, we fought our butts off, but Spain was just too good.
I knew this moment would come in the episode, Chris, and I was gonna take out my watch and put 15 seconds on the clock and say, "Give me your pitch." But no, I didn't want to be too mean.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
So does the podcast, but not for today.
Exactly.
I think this is it, right?
Yeah, we're there. So, thank you, Chris.
Enjoy the weekend, man. And
likewise.
Yes,
likewise.
I try.
And thanks to everyone for tuning into another episode of Growing E-commerce. Brought to you, as always, by Smarter E-commerce. You can learn more at smarter-ecommerce.com. And as always, if you leave us comments on YouTube or Spotify, give us a shout on social media, leave us a review or rating. Every little bit helps. We really appreciate it. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.